What's going on, everyone? The market inched higher today. For today's episode, we have some awesome predictions and setups for tomorrow and some interesting news related to Tesla, the MJ industry, and the market overall. So you guys better stick with us all the way to the end, and we're not wasting any time today. So Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, Mike, the overall market had a pretty good day today, and I was actually really happy to see it go green because it was at least one of my favorite traders in history's 93rd birthday, and it was Warren Buffett. Let's go, guys. Give him some credit down in the comments. Happy birthday to Warren Buffett. He is 93. He is at the peak of his game. Berkshire has been flying up year after year. It's around highs right now. I think it's at new highs even, and it's just amazing to see Mike. He's continuing to make good stock trades. He still has an amazing mind for the market, and just happy birthday to him. He definitely deserves all the respect after all these years. And man, I'll tell you, I know he holds a lot of Apple, and he's done very, very well over the past 20 years. We'll just say that.
No doubt about that. Good old Warren Buffett started buying stocks when he was 11 years old, Tom, which was 1942. So he's been in the market for quite some time, and it's awesome to see the success he's had. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Going over to the stocks and looking at how they performed today on his birthday, it was great, actually. It was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the greatest day, but the SPY definitely ticked higher. We held above that 448 resistance, and we ended up pushing above 450. So now we can use those areas as a bit of areas for support for tomorrow, but we actually closed up pretty high here. And, we had a few stocks like Apple, Tesla, and a couple others try to run up today. But the one that really stole the show was Tilray, the marijuana stock. Man, it was amazing to see them up 10%. It looks like the government's trying to change the scheduling on them. And if anyone doesn't know, the scheduling is kind of how they classify drugs, at least at the DEA.
Yeah, so basically there's some pretty groundbreaking news today where the Department of Health and Human Services basically recommended to the DEA that the marijuana drug scheduling should be changed. So for those of you who don't know, marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug right now, which is basically like the most strict drug classification that there is in the United States. It's up there with like heroin and a bunch of bad stuff, right? We'll say that. And the current new recommendation is to move marijuana to a Schedule 3 drug, which would, be a lot better for the marijuana industry. So given this news, marijuana stocks just soared to the upside today, moving in just a truly explosive way. Now, why this is so exciting and rare is because whenever we see any sort of potentially groundbreaking news in the marijuana industry, these stocks tend to run in a very crazy way for extended periods of time. For example, if we go all the way back to Tilray in 2018, this stock just had an insane run. Tom, it's so going back so far, it's hard to even explain, but this stock had a run from like $20 a share all the way up to like $300, and that doesn't mean it has to happen this time, but the point is that when we see big news in this industry, these stocks move crazier than basically any other stocks in the market. Looking at Tilray and other marijuana stocks right now, they're seeing a whole lot of money flow into them, and they're starting to show some of that crazy price action. So, of course, we had to cover them. Tom, besides Tilray, which is TLRY, what are some other popular MJ stocks to look out for?
Yeah, I was cycling through some of my favorites there. I really like MSOS because it's a U.S. cannabis ETF. It deals with a lot of cannabis stocks in the U.S., but you can even go with CGC. That one's been very popular over the past couple years. I know CGC, obviously, MSOS. We also have SNDL, CANN. There's actually a lot out there. A couple outliers are SMG, which is Scott's Miracle Grow. This one's interesting to me because, they provide all the soil and they'll have a bunch of fertilizer and different wet stuff to help grow. So this one's pretty awesome too. But I really like the ETF MSOS considering it has a lot of those U.S. companies. And Tilray is obviously our favorite. Like Mike and I have talked about Tilray so much the past couple of years. If we go with anything, it would generally be Tilray.
Yep, exactly. So keep a very close eye on this one for tomorrow in the next couple days. It has a lot of crazy potential, but I will say this. If you can't handle volatility, which is fine, you got to get out of the kitchen with this one. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. These stocks move in some very crazy ways. But Tom, on a different note, Tesla also had some pretty exciting news lately with their autopilot software. So fill us in. What's going on?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I know autopilot and full self-driving has been in the news a lot. There's been a lot of crashes. Obviously, the media likes to blow those out of proportion. And, there's been a lot of also good news with it. A lot of developments with Tesla and a lot of their software, new updates and etc. It looks like they're actually now allowing no hands driving with their autopilot for extended periods of time now, which is obviously better. So with autopilot, it does require you to put your hands back on the steering wheel if you take them off, but it looks like they're going to allow you to go a little bit longer, I guess. So I don't know if this is going to be good necessarily, but they're trying to, make sure that the driver stays engaged with driving, of course, but at the same time, I don't know. This is kind of scary. If I was in one of these cars, I would probably never take my hands off the wheel. But then again, I guess whenever full self-driving and autopilot become a little bit better, it might be more tempting. But I don't know. It sounds pretty cool, though. And I would think that the more that these things advance, the better Tesla will do, especially in the future, whenever full self-driving and all that stuff, people start using it more often.
Good stuff. So looking at Tesla on the charts, it has had an awesome past 2 weeks or so. What are you seeing as important resistance and support levels for tomorrow and the rest of the week?
Yeah, big support here is $250. And this morning, Tesla actually ran down and kind of tested that support before running up midday and closing fairly high. So they actually closed red, which is kind of weird. I guess they just ran up so much yesterday, but they were up a little bit. They got up to that 260 resistance. So if you're a day trader out there and you're looking for some nice momentum tomorrow, Tesla above 260 to $260.50 will be a big area. I think that we could start to see some better movement. And if we go out to an hourly chart and we go longer term, I think that 264 to 265 will be the next larger area to look at, also with 270 overhead. So there is some big areas there, and that 250 support, though, is going to be important to watch. If we break that back down, we could fall back down to maybe 244, but with the momentum here, I would think we might continue up.
Good stuff. So looking at the overall market right now and many big tech stocks, overall, it has been pretty good over the past 2 weeks, right? The market is closer to highs right now, and, stocks are doing pretty decent, generally speaking. But now here comes the really bad news. Jimothy Cramer made a tweet yesterday saying Powell is winning in so many places, from homes to job openings to starting salaries. That's one of the reasons this market can go higher so easily. This tweet got 1.5 million views. People were lighting Jimmy Boy up on Twitter, and there's a whole lot of panic resulting from this. Obviously, Jim Cramer never misses, and not in a good way. But yeah, this is just another thing to keep in mind as we head into the historically bearish and brutal month of September.
Yeah, September is going to be a brutal month. It starts on Friday. I'm curious if, even on Friday, we start to see downwards movement just to start it off right. But it's definitely scary to see this. And I kind of agree with them in a sense. Powell's been doing fairly good, and the numbers, especially job openings and jobs in general, have been fairly good. But at the end of the day, I have a feeling that the next few months, heading into next year, we'll start to see a little bit more of a downtrend. But this is definitely a scary revelation, Mike, heading into September. I don't know what's going on here, why he needed to say this. I have no reason, but I'll say this: 1.5 million views. These people were not looking at this to agree with him, I would say. That's for sure.
Inverse Kramer never misses. Just never forget that. So yeah, keep that in mind going forward. But Tom, for the next couple days, we also have a couple exciting events on the economic schedule. What do we have going on?
Yeah, tomorrow we have personal income and the PCE data coming out. So definitely watch this tomorrow. It'll be pretty big. Now, it's not going to be as big as a CPI event or anything like that, but it will be large. Also, initial jobless claims, which everyone's been talking about jobs numbers as they come out over the past couple weeks. And on Friday, we have even more with the non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate, and ISM manufacturing PMI. So there are some, I would say, economic data points coming up, Mike. But again, it's nothing like overly crazy like a CPI event, but it's definitely worth mentioning.
Alrighty, good stuff. Well, it's now time to get into the fun stuff, which are some setups for tomorrow. I think a lot of you guys already know where I'm going with this one, but one stock I'm watching very closely for tomorrow is that crazy MJ stock, Tilray. The situation we're seeing with this one right now is pretty rare. You do not see news from the Department of Health and Human Services and the DEA like we saw recently that often, and the stock's moving with some big volume and big money flowing in. So I'm going to have a very close eye on Tilray to the upside over the next couple days.
Yeah, it looks crazy. That intraday move today was just wild, and I love the way it based at that 260 support, and we're holding right around 270. I think that's setting up very well into tomorrow. It definitely, there could be a good continuation there. I was going to call it out if you didn't, Mike, but I knew you were going to hit on it, so I didn't want to steal it. But looking at DraftKings here, it's up 2.7% today, also recovering up very well this week. I've been pretty pleased with the movement, so I'll be watching for continuation above $30 tomorrow. They are right on this resistance, so if we do get a break, I'll look at this one up. It's been kind of having a lot of momentum the past couple days. Some of these growth stocks have been coming back alive.
Yeah, let's go. Love to see it. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Square. Looking at Square, it has had a pretty good past couple days, but I know it could do a lot better. So I am watching this one pretty closely to the upside for tomorrow. It's still relatively oversold in the grand scheme of things. Over the past month or so, it fell from $81 a share all the way down to 55, so it's definitely been taking a beating, and now it's basing off support, and it's starting to show some signs of life again.
Yeah, it really is. I'm liking that support down here, and with these growth stocks coming back, why not look at them? They're one of my favorite ones that have taken a recent dip, and I think that coming off this dip for the longer term, it'll be a really good one as well. My next play is actually Coinbase, and I'm kind of going off of that big momentum from yesterday. Today, we just stood still. We didn't really have any crazy movements back to the upside, but we retested that resistance around 86.30 to 86.50, and we rejected there. So if we're able to get above this resistance tomorrow, I will look at a continuation. When I go out to the daily chart and I look at that big candle we had yesterday and then the doji today, there's a lot of times where kind of like if we go back to this big run up back in July, where we would run up and then have a couple consolidation days with these dojis and then end up running up higher with more momentum. And I think that we're in that stage where it's just a little bit of consolidation and then more movement up. So if we get that break, I'll definitely be looking at calls considering that news we saw.
Sounds great. And one thing I want to touch on really quickly is that if you guys like the videos, make sure to join the Stocked Up crew, subscribe to the channel. It takes hours to make these videos. We go through all the important news and, exciting things and good plays that you need to know about, and we try to make it all fit in a 20-minute video. So if you guys like what we do and want to hear us more often, hit that subscribe button and you'll see us more often. So why not? But Tom, it is now about that time to get into the momentum plays. And with the first one, we have PayPal to the upside.
Yeah, one of our favorites lately, still moving up here in a good way. If they break 63.50, look at calls. I've had this resistance on the chart for a while now.
All right, and then with the next one, we have a stock that has taken quite the beating lately, Verizon to the upside. So I'll give Verizon this. It has had a pretty good week, and when you look at that, long-term chart of it, it looks a little bit nasty.
Yeah, that long-term chart is scary, but in the short term, it's kind of coming up pretty well. So if they're able to break back above 34.80, go ahead and look at calls. There was a pretty good intraday resistance right there.
All right, and then with the last one, we have GLD for both directions.
Yeah, gold, I was glad to see them going up, but they were kind of following the market again. I want them to start inversing the SPY, Mike, but if they get up above 180.50, I'll look at calls. If they fall under 180 even, I'll look at puts. That 180 area was big for us to get above in my eyes, so use that as a big support here.
Boom. All right, so we have that lower level on GLD. If it breaks below that, we're watching it for puts. We have the upper level for calls. And then don't forget about good old Verizon and PayPal with their upside levels as well for call plays. But it is now time for the $736,000 big money trade of the day. And we are looking at none other than NET. Ticker symbol NET. This is CrowdStrike, or Cloudflare, I should say. Sorry, Cloudflare. Basically, someone dumped $736,000 into the 65 strike call options that expire on January 17th of 2025. Ticker symbol NET has been, relatively flat over the past couple months, but it has been making higher lows too, which is good to see. I do think the setup has a lot of potential, but I'll also say this. It will probably take some time. So, looking at NET right now, it's right around $65 a share. It has all-time highs right around $220 a share. I think it can have a good run-up, but it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, and I'll say this, I actually like the setup here quite a bit. Even in the short term on the daily, we're getting some pretty good candles. There is some resistance around 65. Maybe if we break that, you could look at it up a little bit more, but I do like this play. Now, it is a little bit longer term. They have it till January 2025. Like Mike said, it needs to be more of a longer term play if you're following this, but even in the short term, it looks pretty good in my opinion, and we're getting some big earnings tonight out of companies that are kind of in that same sector, like CrowdStrike and a couple other CRM, they're kind of all in that, I guess, like cloud computing / cybersecurity space, I guess you'd say. So you can see they're actually moving up a little bit in after hours right now, maybe with some of those earnings. So I do like that in that sense, Mike. And they've been just down in the dumps for a while. So I'm kind of watching them for a recovery back up as some of these other growth stocks recover up, like Zoom and a bunch of others.
All righty, good stuff. So yeah, going into the market tomorrow, there should be some pretty exciting opportunities. SPY's at a somewhat crucial point. We have some craziness heating up with these MJ stocks, and we have the mother of all sell signals from Jimothy Kramer coming in out of nowhere, right? So we have a lot of exciting things going on. It should make for a pretty exciting day tomorrow and just the rest of the week overall. One other thing I want to touch on is our member of the day today that just had an awesome day. So I want to give a huge shout out to Octobear in the Profits channel today with a nearly $5,000 profit from Apple call options. So huge shout out, Octobear. You've been in the chat for around a month now, and it's absolutely amazing to see plays like these. So definitely keep it up. Awesome work, and we love to see it. But Tom, for tomorrow, do you have any final thoughts or anything else you're watching?
Yeah, I mean, not really too much. Today was very flat in the market. I'm really watching that SPY for that breakout above this high of day around 451.50. You can see there was about 3 hits right on that level. If we start breaking that in the morning, I think that in the short term, we can definitely continue up. I've been talking about this trend line breaking recently and how we've been really breaking out as these trend lines have been broken over the past couple of months. So I'm definitely watching this. Resistance overhead to watch, 454 and 455 will be huge. So just keep those areas on watch. I'm really liking these moves, though, out of Apple and others. Apple really carried the market today, Mike. That was a good move pretty much all day long.
Let's go. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to hear our mouths more often and watch the videos. It's awesome seeing how much the community has been growing lately. So let's keep up this great momentum, guys, and let's have an amazing day in the markets tomorrow.